So by the last part of 2008, I realized I needed to get more active in my life. I signed up for a 3-year Alexander Technique teacher training program, started watching Alexander Technique videos online and checking them out of the library, started watching these yoga videos, like how to use yoga to boost your immune system and achieve radiant health. I signed up for 1 year of unlimited yoga, Yoga West. Started my Alexander teacher training in January 2009, so I was ready to become active. Okay, here I was, 41 years old, was ready to be active, not just throwing the footballs around. And very quickly I started injuring myself, particularly in yoga. Like I tried to keep up with the class and I put all these tendons and ligaments in my feet, and like my shoe size swelled, like one shoe size, I think from 9.5 to 10.5, something like that. And in my Alexander training, I was talking to this woman who recommended a great physical therapist. So I went to see this physical therapist, Lynn Paul Taylor, and he was amazing. He was able to bring down the swelling in my feet. Within a few sessions, he'd largely undone the damage I'd done to myself in yoga class. And I was much more conservative in yoga after those first crazy 6 weeks where I was going all out and meeting girls and having a good time. So there's someone I met in yoga, and I think it was in April of 2009, we went away for a weekend to the beach, and we started methodically working our way through the Kama Sutra. And so there was this one thing we were doing, so she was kind of wrapped around my waist, had my hands here under her hips, and I was swinging back and forth. And I immediately felt like something go in my back, but I tried to keep a stiff upper lip about it and not be too much of a whinge. And then we had a lovely weekend. We went down to the beach, and she was there in her bikini, and I was I had run into the waves and just dive through the waves. And I think she either said I looked like a seal or a porpoise or a Greek god, one of those, the way I just dived through the waves. But as soon as I went under the water, I had to reach down and grab my shorts because they weren't really swimmers. So they, would have lost my shorts and my dignity if I wasn't careful. But I'd dive through the waves and then grab the old shorts. And so we came back on Monday, and later that day I was walking these books to the library. And, my back just went out, and I literally fell down to the ground. It was ah. So I went down to see Lynn Paul Taylor, and he told me, if I'm holding a girl by her hips and she's wrapped around me like this, don't swing around because I'll throw my back out. So he managed to undo the problem very quickly. Now I suppose that I could have Alexandered my way out of this mess. Maybe if I'd inhibited and directed and done lots of active rest and all that. But a few months later I would have been fine. But I couldn't wait, for a few months because my back was killing me. And so I needed that immediate physical therapy relief. And so about every 9 months after this, I'd go back to Lynn Paul Taylor. I was trying to learn the Patrick McDonald approach to the Alexander technique, and it's a particular way of getting in and out of a chair. It's much more vertical, coming up, rather than the primary way I've been learning Alexander technique was basically Walter Carrington influence, where it's okay to tip forward and as you come on up. But Patrick McDonald taught this very particular, challenging way of getting in and out of a chair, which is really just a way of doing battle with gravity. Or I can't pretend that I know that much. I'm trying to sound smart here. But anyway, I find the Patrick McDonald style for chair work very hard on my knees. And so every few months they'd get tweaked. And I'd go back to Lynn Paul Taylor and he'd fix me up. And I'd be good to go for a few more months. So I guess, again, theoretically, I could have just, perhaps theoretically, Alexandered my way out of these knee troubles, but then I would have been going around in great pain, and that's not for me. So now I'm an Alexander technique teacher, and much more responsible and much more professional these days than my reckless youth, trying to perform every position in the Kama Sutra over one weekend. So left those sinful days way behind me. There I was diving through the waves, and she was lying on the sand in a bikini. But anyway, back to a learned discourse on physical therapy and the Alexander technique. So if you pull something, or you're in great pain, or things are swelling up, or you can't move, by all means go to a physical therapist, a good physical therapist, and get fixed. If you want to know about your habits that are exacerbating your injuries or causing your injuries, then if you want to take charge of your own destiny and start to learn about the things that you're doing to cause yourself grief, then taking some Alexander lessons can be a good idea. Now, Alexander technique's not for everybody, so many people don't want to take responsibility for their own aches and pains. They'd much rather think about Plato and Shakespeare, or their job, or fortunes of their favorite sports team, and they don't want to think about their habits and notice what they're doing and inhibit their tendencies that cause them pain and aggravation, and they don't want to be thinking about their directions. So if you don't want all that bother, Alexander technique's not for you, because you'll have to do a lot of thinking and a lot of work, and you'll have to notice your habits, and you'll have to confront yourself, and that may not be for you. So by all means go get fixed. But for other people, the idea of taking charge of their own physical health and taking charge of their physical destiny and noticing their habits that are causing them pain. For instance, I have habits where I just say way too much. I'm inappropriate, I don't know, over the top, even a little off color. And these habits get me in trouble, so perhaps I should take a closer look at some of my habits that get me into trouble, and not just react habitually and oh, there's a stimulus, I got a good story to tell. Let me see if I can weave it into some learned video on Alexander technique and physical therapy. So yeah, I've got some looking at my own habits. But anyway, that's my basic approach to injury. Alexander technique helps you notice your habits, things you might be doing that stress parts of you that aren't meant to be stressed, and don't develop parts of you that need more development. Then physical therapy, the physical therapist kind of takes charge. It's kind of a medical model. You've got a problem, you go to the medical professional and they fix you. Alexander technique, the teacher educates you about things you're doing so that you can take charge of your own physical destiny.